ADD focus, what can I say? My hibernation fever dream will get me just chaotically making noises at things that frustrated me. Hi, hello, welcome. My name is Kharissa, you can call me Kari, and welcome to a new video. So today I have a little something different planned for y'all, and it's something that I'm actually really nervous about, but I feel like is a good step towards getting to where I want this channel to be, and a good step into helping y'all know who I am better, and so that we can have a two-way relationship going on here. Today I'm going to be partaking in the Booktube Newbie tag. I'm hoping that with this video I can introduce myself to the community and hopefully meet a couple of like-minded people, maybe people who have started their own channels recently. And yeah, I'm really excited, so let's get into it. So the first question in the newbies tag is, why did you start this channel? And I have kind of like a non-complicated answer and then like a complicated answer. So the first part of the answer to the non-complicated answer is that I really have this desire to get back into reading, and I feel like opening a channel is going to force me to actually sit down and read versus telling myself I'm going to and then opening the same fanfiction over and over again and pretending like I'm actually reading books when I'm not. Because it's like that really weird thing, right? Where like a lot of us, okay, I don't know if there's anyone else here who like relates to that idea of like the mentally ill, former gifted kid who like used to read a shit ton in like high school and middle school, and then like they graduated and then suddenly their life fell apart because it was no longer like a direct system to like keep their life in order, and then they lost like the desire to do everything they wanted to do when they were little. That is something that happened to me like the second I left high school, and then suddenly I went from reading like almost every single new release consistently every single year to reading nothing. I don't know, does fanfiction count as reading? Or does it not? Because that is literally all I've been reading for the past couple of years. And so I'm hoping that opening this channel and, you know, having someone to discuss the books with, even if I'm just sounding off to myself in a camera, will get me motivated to read. Which actually it has been doing that so far. I have definitely read more books at the beginning of this year than I have elsewise. Like, I'm like shook actually by the amount of dedication I've created for this in a very short period of time, but ADD focus, what can I say? The second, a bit more complicated answer to this question is that I am doing this as a way to heal my inner child a little bit. And way back when I was in 9th grade, with like the heyday of Booktube, I decided to make a Booktube channel, and I was really excited about it. I was a part of like the Booktubeathon that year. I was posting videos left and right. I was having a great, enjoyable time, and then some kids at my school found it and decided to show the videos to the entire classroom, which was mortifying and embarrassing and slightly traumatizing. And after that happened, I just closed the channel down completely, and I privated all the videos. The channel still technically exists, but there's nothing on it. So when I was thinking about things I wanted to do in 2022 that feel right and things that make me feel happy, I realized that Booktube was something I always really wanted to get into, just because I love reading. I love the community, and it was shitty of those boys to take it away from me. So this is me reclaiming that power back and allowing myself to do this free of their judgment, free of my own judgment, and allowing myself to create this space where I'm allowed to exist and allow. The second question is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? This is probably the hardest question to answer, but I think I've kind of narrowed down like what I think is the core of my personality. I think that I'm someone that is dually very chaotic and yet very intellectual, in the sense that you will never get just one thing from me if you're watching a review. You will get an in-depth analysis of something. At the same time, you will get me just chaotically making noises at things that frustrated me. There is no in between. We got two extremes and they're gonna bump heads together. And I think that brings a very interesting energy to book discussion. I am also an ace, non-binary, bi-romantic, Hispanic, AFAB presenting person. So I think, you know, I think I have a little something to say to be repping my people. So I guess there's a little bit of that as well. The third question in the newbie tag is, what are you most excited for about this new channel? And I think what I'm most excited about is to meet a community of like-minded people who I can talk about all of this with, and finding a community of people that like have a wide array of interesting opinions. I am also really excited to be able to sit down and read and have someone to talk to about this, you know, even if it's somebody like sounding back in the comments, and being able to really share my experience and what I enjoyed or disliked about a book with so many people. I think especially when you are in a minority group, it's very easy to feel lonely, and it's something that I definitely felt a lot throughout high school and middle school when I was in my big reading phase. And books were one of the things that pulled me out of it and made me feel like I wasn't alone. And so there is something very beautiful about being able to bring that aspect of my life that makes me feel connected to the world around me, to actually be able to connect with people in the world around me. The next question is, why do you love reading? And honestly, I think I never got a chance to not like reading. My dad is a literature professor, my mom is a university professor in geography and tourism, but she always had a very strong reading habit. And so from like day one, I was just immersed into literature. I love reading because reading is an escape from my everyday life, and I think that is very cliche, but I also think it is very true. Now, my biggest love affair with reading happened when I was severely mentally ill in middle school, and it was the one thing that I could count on to bring me joy, and to, it's gonna sound really morbid, but that could make me feel in a period of my life where I felt numb to everything. And I think that is the real beauty and like joy of a book versus like a TV show or a movie, is that for a book to work, you need to be 100% invested in it. You need to allow the book to enter you and allow yourself to envision what the book is, versus having something that is already made for you. You cannot be a passive audience. You need to be an active participant. Our fifth question is, what books or series got you into reading? So I think the first series I can remember reading is probably, it's either The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis or Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling. I honestly can't remember which one goes first, but it was definitely one of the two of them. And then like hot on its heels was probably either Lord of the Rings or The Hunger Games. So I would say like those are the four main culprits of my reading obsession. Another book I was obsessed with growing up was Anne of Green Gables. Loved it, adored it, it's so good. If you haven't read it, you should definitely read it. Oh, also Coraline. Coraline f***ed me up as a child, but in a good way. Like, it cemented my love affair with Neil Gaiman, and I can forever thank it for it. The sixth question is, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I think if I could ask anything of my favorite booktubers, like if I could sit them all down in a little row and ask them a question, I think it would have to be, what is their guilty pleasure read? I'd be really curious to see like what they would say, and if they would, like, if there's anything that would come up where they'd be like I'm not gonna lie bro, this is the thing I read when I'm sad. You know what, boo, that's fair. That is so valid of you. Our next question is, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Honestly, I think the biggest challenge at the moment that I've been facing, and I think will be the biggest challenge, is sitting through the editing phase. And it sounds so stupid, but I think that's where a lot of my drive and a lot of my frustrations come into play. Because I'll be frank, I am somebody who has ADD, and so it's very hard for me to really get into something unless I am hyper-focusing on it, which is also not the most healthy of things. So I try to keep this balance within my life. And I've already noticed that, especially when a video is taking a long time to edit, I start to get really frustrated with myself because I feel like I can either be using my time better or I can be working faster. So that is something that I really need to watch out for. The next question is, when did you start reading? I would like to say that I started reading around like age 7, because that's around the age that I was allowed to start like building my own book collection. And from then I was just, you know, off up into the stars. I just never stopped until after high school, where I just kind of had my reading slump. Because of said reading slump, I'd also like to mention the book that got me out of my reading slump last year, and that book is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I read the entire series over like the span of 5 days while I was moving house, and right before I left the US to move back home. So it was a crazy time, and I was absolutely hooked and obsessed with it. Our next question is, what kind of books do you like to read? And I would like to say that I mainly read fantasy, whether that be high fantasy like Lord of the Rings or something more YA fantasy like The Cruel Prince. I even enjoy a lot of historical fantasy, even though I haven't been able to read a lot of it, so I'm hoping to get a bit more of that into my rep this year. I also really love classical literature, although I will say I do enjoy what the women have to bring to the table more than I do what the men bring to the table. Sorry about it. And I also love Gothic literature. Like, it is the love of my life. It is one of the genres that I'm so passionate about and will never shut up about. I've also recently been getting into a lot of queer graphic novels. It's been like one or two, but I think it's probably my new favorite genre, so I'm really interested in like getting into it, and I have a couple on my list for this year, so I'm excited to read more of that. Our next to last question is, what does your book collection look like? And honestly, that question's a little bit rude. First of all, I have too many books for someone who has their life spread over 3 countries, but second of all, guys, it's a disaster. This tiny bookshelf behind me that you see here is basically an agglomeration of all of the books that I currently haven't read that I know I need to read, but everything that I have already read is in my parents' house from high school, and then the other half of my books, between those that I've read and then others that I couldn't bring with me because they were too heavy, are currently sitting in a storage unit in Louisiana until I can go get them because I had to move countries during a pandemic. And then another section of my books, I almost forgot about this, another section of my books is currently sitting in my friend Courtney's house, I believe, in England. So, hi Courtney, thank you for keeping my shit for me. I promise I will one day get it from you. I'm so sorry. Overall, the mixture of books I have are books that I either bought in high school, such as, for example, this is my old copy of The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. And as you can see, like, please don't judge her. She has like the brown edges and all that shit. She stayed here while I went to college, so that's an example of like one half of my books. And then like on the other end of the spectrum, we have example like this, which is The Shadow Between Us by Tricia Levenseller, which I bought myself while I was in college. So there really is an interesting mix here of books that I should have read like back in the day when I was still in high school, but I just never got around to, and newer releases that like really catch my interest. Also, because I've been moving so much, my physical bookshelf is one teeny tiny, but also it doesn't include a lot of my intimate favorite reads, especially like books I had throughout my childhood, because I just don't want to move them around until I know exactly where I'm going to be, so I don't fuck them up, because that would make me very, very sad. Last but not least, our final question is, where do you read? My answer is just anywhere, but mainly my bed. I always see my bed as a place for peace, as a place for relaxation. I really do enjoy reading in bed because I feel all snuggled up and like I'm like in a little cave and I'm a bear and I'm hibernating. And like my hibernation fever dream is whatever book I'm reading. But I also very much enjoy reading in my office, especially if I want to feel a little bit more productive and like I'm not just lazing about all day. I will move to my office. And then the other place I really like to go and read is a coffee shop that is around the corner of my apartment. It's really nice, it's lovely, it tends to be very, very quiet, and I go there if I need a change of scenery or I just want to feel like I'm getting out of the house. So those were all of the questions in the Booktube Newbie tag. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this helped you know a little bit more about you. Say hi in the comments if you want to. I'm excited to meet new people and I'm excited to see who watches this video. And if you like what I'm doing and if you like me and if you want to see more of what I do, I currently have a couple of videos uploaded to my YouTube channel, so you can go and check those and see if they fit your vibe, and if they do and you enjoy me and you want to be here, please click subscribe and stay. I think we can build a beautiful thing here and I'm really excited. So have a wonderful, amazing, fantastic day, week, month, whatever you need to get your goals done, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!